Day 29 through 31 of walking from Georgia to Maine on the Appalachian Trail.
It was time to get back on the trail after 0 in Gatlinburg, but not, of course, before stopping for some food. We struggled to get a hitchhike this time compared to others, with Gatlinburg being a very touristy town. I'm pretty sure we just confused people because they acted like we were flagging them down or we were in distress, but we finally got someone to stop and take us back after an hour of trying. Unfortunately, this ride was the worst car sick I'd ever gotten, so it took me a while just to feel good enough to start hiking once we got back. With all our delays and being limited to shelters in the Smokies, we were only able to make it 3 miles this day. And unfortunately, day 30 wasn't much better. This day was very cold and rainy, and let's just say the morale was very low, so only made it about 7 miles before we got to the next shelter, and we were too tempted by the fire that was already going to make it to the next shelter, but we had just hoped to catch up at least a little bit the next day. Day 31 gave us much better weather, and we actually saw the sun, so the morale was much higher. Here's some deer we saw this morning at that shelter. We made it about 0.4 miles from the shelter back to the trail, and we were back to it. Today's goal was to make it to the shelter 13 miles from our starting point. We were making good progress and stopped for lunch at the next shelter, which was perfect timing because it began to rain, something that is becoming a regular theme. It didn't last long, and we were back to the trail to the next shelter. This part is where we really started to see some damage from Hurricane Helene. We eventually made it to our stopping point, and of course it started to rain right before we got there, but thankfully it didn't last long enough for us to get soaked. And with that, we had just one more day left in the Smoky Mountains, so follow along to follow our journey.